What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? We're back again with another live Fourth and Goal Sports show where we're talking basketball today, same as last live when we chopped it up about the finals. But today we're going to be talking about Bleacher Report's top 100 NBA players of all time. This is a list that is a trending topic recently, most notably because of the fact that Kobe Bryant was at the number 11th spot. And even beyond that, just the full 100 list has got people talking. I'm joined by usual guest, my man Jalen, my man Mr.
Yo,
Ron, who has way more basketball knowledge than me and Jalen. He's been seeing so many eras. So I definitely had to have you on for this, Mr. Ron, because we're going to break down the top 10, the top 20, and even beyond that with the full top 100. Just getting into it as long as you're here. I definitely want your opinion, but I'm gonna let you start off. If I sent you the list, and obviously they have so the top two that should be undisputed. I know people try to debate that, but it's MJ, LeBron. To me, those two are interchangeable. Of course, we chopped up last time. LeBron's my guy, so I would have him one, but no problem with that. The top three should be like pretty simple. MJ, LeBron, Kareem, and outside of the top three, possibly top five, that's when it gets a little tricky, basically. And you know, I'm gonna just list off the top 10 and forward. I'm gonna just pass it to you guys. But number one, they got MJ. Two, LeBron. Three, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Four, they had Magic Johnson. Five, Bill Russell. Six, Shaquille O'Neal. Seven, Tim Duncan. Eight, Larry Bird. Nine, Wilt Chamberlain. 10, 10 they had Steph Curry. And I'm going to stop at 11 where the controversy is Kobe Bryant at 11. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
uh, if I can, I think it's really appropriate. I get my shot off first. So, of course, obviously, as you can tell, I am repping a Kobe jersey right now. So I'm multiple, but that should honestly tell you everything you need to know about honestly what's about to come out of my mouth. But to be completely honest, even through all of the, you know, fandom or whatever, I can honestly say that Kobe Bryant does not belong in just let alone outside the top five to me is, you know, insane. Just for me, like I cannot see how you put a guy like that outside at least the top five. Honestly, I feel like he deserves to be at least in the top three discussion. You know, and and a lot of players recently have been confronting people about the Kobe disrespect, and a lot more people have been coming out. And I've been hearing from a lot of past players who, and outside of Shaq, because a lot of people like to say Shaq has favoritism because I was a teammate, which is honestly, I feel like his what's coming out of his mouth should be appreciated more because of the fact that he had to see that guy play, and they never even had the best like relationship like ever. They had their own little beast, but outside of Shaq, there's tons of different players coming out and talking about like the Kobe disrespect and um even from current players to old players, like, and I feel like as well, like ever since he's passed. Like when he first passed, I remember it was a common thing for people to be like, "Oh, they like to talk about Kobe." Then it's like whenever they talked about the top 10, they got really uncomfortable. Because he just passed, and they don't want to disrespect him, so they kind of kept outside. But now that it's been a minute since that has happened, I noticed a lot more willing, like people coming out and saying all types of stuff about his game. And I view it for me, it is, I see it as kind of disrespect because now that you know, now we're here in this point of time, in this day and age of the NBA, people are so willing to it's like almost like they forget how dominant this man was in his whole in his career. So I think, honestly, I'm not even really sure exactly who made this list from like Bleacher Report, but a lot of players have been also coming off and talking about how the list you know, looks crazy. I'm not going to just drag them the whole time because I noticed there's a couple players where I'm able to look at. I'm like, they kind of belong in that area. Like that's a good spot. But for me, like for one player that that I feel like you can't really mess up with Kobe, I think that he definitely does not belong in the place that he's in right now.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I'm not gonna drag the whole list itself. I mean, it's no way to make like a perfect 100 list. You're not gonna be able to please everybody, but certainly that was like a big thing on the list, a big flaw on the list for sure. But Mr. Ron, if you got a chance to look at it, how do you feel about the list?
Well, I think first of all, shout outs to you, and maybe you should show some previous videos of yours that you've been doing a great job because we've kind of had these conversations in a lot of different settings. So you can kind of go back to some of those early discussions that we had when, of course, we were on the show together. And the first thing I remember talking to you guys about is, and I'm going to say it again, what is the criteria, right? So when we're coming up with these things, we have to ask ourselves, what is the criteria, right? That's the first thing, what makes a player great. And then you have to, something you said, which there's my guy, perfect timing, as we were just talking about you. And what is the criteria for the list? Then we need to talk about in that criteria, and you said something, I like the way you opened, Tyrus, you said, who witnessed the generation, the eyewitness of the generation? Now, I would have to say that I'm very fortunate because I was able to see, the legends of my father's generation in enough way to say, okay, I know why they're great. And then I was able to see this transition, from the street ball, because I come up in Harlem, so I can walk to the battlegrounds where Kareem used to play, and I can walk to the Rucker. And I can be honest with you, and this is to Jalen's point about certain people, if you had to play the Rucker, you didn't play the Rucker, you was a nobody, right? And so when you played the Rucker, that was your way of going up against the best street ball legends that ever did it. Because in street ball, there were a lot of them that could have went pro, but a lot of them didn't because unfortunately the streets were more appealing to them, and they didn't want to play by the rules and stuff like that. We all know, Tyrus, you guys played organized ball. You can't just do whatever you want when you're on a team. You have to play structure. So that was one thing. And just to your point, I remember when Kobe came to the Rucker. I'm telling you, I never seen anything like it in my life. I mean, I was too young to see when Doc was there. I mean, AI, Vince Carter, it was crazy. But when Kobe came, and see, this was before cell phones, right? You had those big doofy phones. Word got all the way through Harlem, and he was in the Rucker. And I mean, I'll never forget it because it looked like it was getting ready to come down and rain, right? And dudes were running to get up to that park to see Kobe. And Kobe, Jordan, MJ, Gervin, there were just certain players that you just knew them on a first name basis, right? So that's one thing. Those guys played in certain circuits. Like you could say, I could see Kobe legendary street ball. I could see Kobe playing college basketball. I could see this one playing, NBA ball on a good team or a bad team. So what's the criteria? Who put the list together? And then there's one other thing I wanted to say. Again, and we talked about this the last time we were together, in errors in the way they play. If you remember, I asked you guys a question. I said, what are you guys going to do when you're my age and you're trying to explain to your son how good Curry was when now they have a 4-point shot and they don't have a 3-point shot? But we talked about that. So now you're going to start seeing numbers, and now you're going to have to look through the game from a pure lens and say, I see all these great numbers, but Curry was still better than that guy. What do you mean? He outscored Curry by 10,000 points. Yeah, but. And so that's kind of like what I am right now when I think about what you said earlier. So my whole point is I'm okay with lists because I know lists evolve, people change. And one thing I have to say is that the jury was out on a lot of these guys, you know? So like, you know, LeBron, everybody wanted to say stuff about him, and he just literally outlasted everybody to the point where they have to give respect where respect is due, not because they really want to, but like I like to say, if people don't give you respect, then you have to take it. So what did he take? He took the all-time scoring title. He took something that was so precious and so coveted, right? And he held it. So that's like, it's mine. What you gonna say about that, right? And you know, the chances of anybody breaking that record is almost 1. Why? Because you got to be healthy,
You know,
you're on the right team, you got to play for the right coach. So many dominoes got to fall in your favor for you to get that all-time record. It's almost impossible. It's like getting struck by lightning twice. So the only problem I have is, and I'm going to pass it on because I don't want to hold it up because I know we'll go around and around, is the Kareem thing being number 2 when everybody was talking about rings and all this type of stuff. There was one chosen one before the chosen one, which was LeBron, and that was Jabbar. And when Jabbar, unfortunately, he was 6'10" as a 12-year-old. So, of course, they were supposed to win all their games in Pee Wee school, and he did. Of course, they were supposed to win all their games in high school, and he did. Of course, they were supposed to win championships in college, and he did. Of course, they were supposed to win championship in Milwaukee, and he did. And of course, he was supposed to win in LA, and he did. He won on every level. Why is he not number 1? You know, so I'm a little bothered by that because I look at, can you live up to it, right? If I say Tyrus Filson, 4th and Goal, better be the top podcast, in the next 3 years, you better be at the top because you are highly regarded coming out of the PG County, the Mid-Atlantic area. I'm putting that pressure on you. And for you to live up to that, that's harder than just coming out of nowhere. Remember, MJ came out of nowhere. No one saw him coming. So he did not have the same expectations on him. Matter of fact, he's what they call the AKA pleasant surprise. But Kareem, he didn't have that luxury. He was supposed to win from the moment his big toe stepped on that court. And guess what? He stood on business and he did it. LeBron was supposed to be the greatest the moment he got drafted. Well, guess what? He did it too. He stood on business. Kobe had a pass. Remember, it was the Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones show for a while. He was the guy coming off the bench. This is Jalen's argument why his scoring is so low because the first few years of his career. So I'll just pass it with that. I'm open to see what you guys think. I'm just making that early argument that I don't like Kareem being behind MJ. And I don't know if it was you, Tyrus, that sent me something very powerful a couple weeks ago. How many playoff wins did LeBron have compared to everybody else? Wasn't that phenomenal?
Wait, excuse me. I don't know if I heard you correctly. Did you say
I want to say, what's up, Jaden? Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you back. And Mr. Ron, thank you for that. What was your point, Jaden? My fault.
I was asking if he had Michael Jordan below, like, is he 3rd all time on your list?
Now he is. He's 3rd. Behind Kareem, behind LeBron, he's 3rd. That's way below.
I respect. You know why I respect that take though? You know why I respect it? Because I was actually. What's funny enough is you put MJ at 3, right? And people will laugh at that, right? If 1 and 2 are so interchangeable. I mean, on this very list that we're talking about, it was a 1 vote difference. That means that they are interchangeable. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the best player in the NBA for a long time. He also has 6 championships, so you can't use the same thing that you use against LeBron, his finals record, right? So you can't use that. And now, me personally, I'm going to take Michael Jordan above Kareem just when you factor in the fact that Michael Jordan, regardless of who he played against, he dominated his era. That's undeniable. Michael Jordan is an icon in sports and culture and American culture. So what he's done, but you could also say those same things about Kareem. But yeah, I'm gonna choose MJ. But as far as like this whole list though, I think that I really didn't have too much of an issue with it outside of the Kobe thing, but there's just some things that I dislike when it comes to these all-time rankings, which is like, you know, they're not providing enough like versatility. But before I pass it on, because I don't want to go on a tangent, I wanted to bring up this point. I was speaking to an OG who, I was at work. OG came through. We were chopping up some basketball stuff. It was a little slow, so I'm talking with him. And he's a real OG. He's 85 years old. He's seen so much basketball, way more than me, way more than everybody here. 85 years old. And I asked him to list his top 10 players all time. You can't say you're too young. A lot of these MJ fans, these unks, you're too young. You didn't see MJ. Well, guess what? He saw MJ. He saw Michael Jordan. Guess what? Michael Jordan wasn't his pick as the GOAT. LeBron wasn't even his pick as the GOAT. His pick as the greatest player of all time, and that's probably a generational thing. It's different generations of basketball. But for him, he didn't even have LeBron and MJ in his top 5, and I was surprised by that. But I'm like, okay, he got a lot of the older guys. He got Bill Russell. He got Wilt Chamberlain. He has Magic Johnson. He had Kareem up there. He had Dr. J up there. But I asked him to, give me his top 10, what it would look like, and he did have LeBron above Michael Jordan. And this is an 85-year-old man who's seen all of the generations. So it's not just a you're young thing, as much as these guys want to say it is. It's not that. It's simply a difference in opinion. And like we're all gonna agree to disagree sometimes. So I just respected his output because he's seen it all.
I think you guys are going to get ready to see what my argument against Michael Jordan is pretty soon, because I found out the NBA is getting ready to expand it. And when they do, you guys are going to understand what I was trying to say about Jordan going up against these expansion teams. Now, when they expand, I want y'all to watch how long it takes for those expansion teams to become successful. And if you know, and I'm sure you do know this, guys, because you got sports shows, the NBA, some of the owners are fighting against it. They don't want it because they have to give up draft picks. They have to give up a lot of money. They have to give up resources to go toward these new teams, which means that their teams are going to get weakened in the result of doing that. And that's the problem when you expand. And Michael coming up through that expansion. And you got to understand what I'm talking about. I saw the before and the after. That's why the guy OG would put people like Oscar Robertson and Doc, because he knew when they played, they didn't have the luxury of playing with other superstars and other Hall of Famers. And because they did not have that, he understood they had to just deal with the hand that they had. And they would play their hearts out. They would never win because their teams were terrible.
You know something? I noticed, not to cut you off, I noticed that I noticed something when it comes to like Bill Russell, because he was a topic of discussion on this list too. A lot of people saying like, oh, you could swap Kobe and Bill Russell, you could do that. Which you could. I'm not mad at that. But the thing is, I think that a lot of people discredit Bill Russell because of the era he played in. He won 11 championships. To me, I didn't see Bill Russell. I'm way too young for that, right? My parents didn't even see Bill Russell. But the thing about Bill Russell to me is, because here's the thing, when I bring up some of the things you've explained about Michael Jordan's era and the competition level compared to the 2000s or the 2010s, and I feel like the 2000s and 2010s were much better competition, right? People will say, hey, look, Michael Jordan still dominated, but we don't get this nuanced comparison with Bill Russell. It's just like, oh, his era was weak, and it's like, oh no, it's basically the way that a lot of people break it down. They have a lot of biases, right? A lot of Michael Jordan fans or just people from that generation of basketball like to put it in this perspective. They say, well, the era before Michael Jordan was weak, and the eras after him are weak, but his era was amazing. So everybody else's era was trash, but Michael Jordan's era was just the best of the best. You see how stupid that sounds? That this is the arguments that a lot of people are making, and this is why players like Bill Russell gets discredited. To me, Bill Russell is the greatest winner in the sport of basketball. You win 11 championships. Like, I get it. The era was different, but he has no control over that. He plays against who's there, and he won 11 championships. That's pretty impressive to me. I don't think you can discredit that.
You can see the Bill Russell era play out in real time when you think about Brady and you think about Peyton. We all know that Peyton had far more statistics than Brady had. Brady only had one real year where he looked like he was a superstar, the year that he had Randy Moss. That's when he started breaking all these records. But people don't understand that Bill Russell played according to what his team. He had superstars at every position. They didn't need him to shoot threes or none of that. All they needed him to do was what he did. Man the paint, block shots, grab rebounds, and intimidate the team's best player on the other side. That's what he was able to do. And there was nobody in the league that could even come close to stopping Wilt Chamberlain. He was one of the few neutralizers that existed in that era. So to your point, every era has that conversation as well. There's always a role player in every era that when you take them off that great team and put them on, let's say, a poor team, you say, dang, I didn't know that guy could score all these points. Case in point,
Right.
McKinney Bridges. You put McBridges on the Brooklyn Nets, he was scoring like 25, 30 a night, but they weren't winning. You put him on the Knicks, 16 points, 17, 18 points a game. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's my take on Bill Russell.
And if I can add, I feel like a lot of I feel like for I kind of looked at Bill Russell like I couldn't I had the viewpoint where I felt like he was kind of like, oh man, like, yeah, look at his era. Like, he only had like 11 teams in the NBA or whatever at the time. So you can't really count. But at the same time, like, I do agree with what Tyrus has said with that's only what he had to play. That's what he had. He had no control over that. He can't travel to the future and play. No. So I feel like a lot of players gotta get credit for some of that. And honestly, for me though, the players that seem really special to me, which is why players like LeBron especially are special, and even Kobe too. One thing about them is they were able to jump from from multiple different eras and still dominate. That's what's so special to me about especially LeBron, is the fact that he was able to play in multiple eras. Kobe was able to play in multiple eras, and they were both able to win in as well. And to me, like, a lot of people, that's powerful, because a lot of people be like, oh, well, you couldn't do that. You just seen him play in multiple eras. You can't say that he can't do that in this day and age or back then. You've seen him do it. So I think a lot of times that has to be put in account, because those guys, who are able to do that, that's special.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are. They're special players.
And matter of fact, I think, what? Me and Tyrus were talking about, because we was talking about, Curry and AJ, and we was talking about who had the most influence and stuff like that. But I forgot to mention a point. Speaking of playing in multiple eras, you deal with multiple things, because we were having a Kobe MJ talk, and somebody said something to me. Like, it was an older guy we was talking to, because after we finished talking, You know, after we finished talking, he heard me on the phone with Tyrus and was like chiming in, and he was like, and he made me think of something I didn't even thought of. There is, you know, there was one thing about the two different areas that like to me make a gap, and that was the zone defense. I forgot zone defense was illegal around Jordan era. And Kobe's,
You
he
know,
faced both.
that's a good point. Good point. Because, and not to cut you off, I just want to add this 2 cent real quick because that's a
Nah, you
good
good.
point.
That's
Just
my
because
point.
of the fact that, and when it comes to like people talking about, the MJ LeBron or MJ Kobe debate, they always bring up the fact of the battle of the generations as far as defense, though. Um, yes, the 80s, 90s defense was more physical. Physicality does not necessarily mean that the defense was actually better. That doesn't mean the same thing because you can make the case that the 2000s era with LeBron and Kobe or the 2010s, I'll stick to 2000s, but I'll say you can make the argument that 2000s era had better defense than the 90s did. You could make that argument. But again, people are always hung up on the fact that, well, it was a more physical era, and that's fine. But the defense evolved. The defense changed. The game of basketball has changed and evolved since the 1990s, 1980s. The game changed. And when I hear certain generations of basketball fans, they only talk about the negative things that have come. Like I watched a video this week it might have been this week or last week, a few days ago, of Kenny the Jet Smith, legendary basketball player, Houston Rockets legend. But he had a terrible take where he sat up there and told the world that the players today aren't more athletic, they're not more skilled. And I just sat there and just like, if you let some of these guys tell how they feel, they genuinely think that no new players do anything better than what they did. And that's absolutely garbage. It's absolute garbage. Russell Westbrook, D Rose, Kyrie Irving, John Wall, you telling me they wouldn't dominate? And because he was specifically talking about guards, right? He was like, "Oh, you want to talk about the guards? They're not more skilled. They're not more athletic. Are you kidding me?"
I do like the conversation that Jalen brought up about the defense and the defense being played because I do think the top 15 players are interchangeable, depending on era, whatever you want to talk about. But I think the top 15 players could have played in any era and be, I wouldn't say productive, but be efficient and productive and lead a team to the victory offensively. All 15, I mean, I'm looking at the list while I'm talking. All these players were dominant with the way they're being guarded. You talk about Shaq. I mean, you zone or man, he's cooking. You talk about guys like Hakeem. You got to talk about both ends of the basketball too. Not every guy on this list is a great defender, but they can hold their own. I think Magic being the worst defender. If you want to say KD was a great player when being guarded. So the top 15 really don't phase me. It's where we get to players like Paul Pierce being 49, or you have Kevin Garnett over Dirk. I just don't see a world where Kevin Garnett is better than Dirk all the time, given where Dirk is done.
I
What he's
do.
done.
I think that's been a debate for a while. I mean, to me, I would take that. That's tough. That's tough. It's debatable. To me, they're interchangeable. But after Tim Duncan, it's as far as power forwards, it's probably either Charles Barkley, Kevin Garnett, or Dirk Nowitzki out of those three,
I think Giannis is better
or
than Kevin
Giannis.
Garnett. I think he's better than Kevin Garnett. I think Dirk is a center.
Yeah.
In today's game, he would be a power forward, but back then he played a lot of center. I don't see him being worse than Kevin Garnett at all. I mean, he led a team to a championship against what you call the GOAT, the greatest player of all time. With D Wade, we know how great D Wade was, especially in the playoffs, what he did with Shaq. So
You can talk about the whole finals run. You can talk about the whole playoff run. You can talk about how the fact that he swept the back-to-back champion Lakers. You can talk about that. You can talk about the fact that he beat the Thunder The whole playoff race was amazing. That Dirk championship is one of the
Exactly.
greatest
That's why I
championship
don't
runs
have
of
him.
all
That's the
time.
greatest playoff run of all time.
And
that's why I don't have Kevin
but
Garnett.
still though, you still got to compare the players as a whole. As far as I'm concerned, was KG not the man on those Celtics teams? He was the man.
I mean,
also,
Paul Pierce,
he's a better defender than
was
Dirk.
Scoring load. Paul Pierce took majority of the scoring load. You could talk about what KG did defensively. I guess that would elevate him as being the best player on the team. But when you want to talk about closing games, consistency, Paul Pierce, I mean, that was a good team. Rondo's not to be underrated either. That's a great team. KG hasn't done enough.
That was a great team.
KG hasn't done enough individually to be better than Dirk all time. I mean, what the Timberwolves see was a great player, MVP caliber player, but not better than Dirk.
And I'm not even mad at that. I'm not.
And this is why I think you should go to a criteria question. When you consider someone great, let's go through that. What are the certain criteria that you guys think have to be on that list before you can even mention a person's name?
Productivity,
I think, helps us come up with answers. So there's got to be, what's the first thing and foremost, right?
Productivity is the first thing. Who's more productive as a player?
Who's more productive as a player? Do we look at also the impact that they had on their team?
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Do we also look at, were they multi-talented? Were they just an offensive juggernaut? Were they a defensive juggernaut? Could they do both? You know, things like that, right? Okay. And do we look at how they performed when there was another star on the other side of them? Did they show up in those games against the other star, or did they?
I don't think we define the player's greatness based on the other stars on his team. I wouldn't hold somebody who had help against somebody who didn't, because that's the argument against LeBron James. You guys still think he's the greatest player of all time. He's played with how many All-Stars? So we can't really define help, especially when you want to talk about eras and talk about different eras and better teams. I mean, LeBron's going to need more help than what you say a Dirk Nowitzki, and who did it by himself.
Well, when I say
I don't know if Dirk ever did it by himself either. No, that one was
Dirk. I mean, who's the next best player on that team?
Well, you know what? You know, and I keep talking to Tyrus about that series, because to me, I keep bringing it up because I cannot stop bringing it up, because for me, I felt like that team has seen some of the toughest teams, and it prevailed in the playoffs. Like OKC, the Lakers, and then having to beat the Heat in the finals, like that to me is why we were in the toughest runs. So I'm not gonna lie, people don't realize how good the pieces around Dirk was, and I'm not saying like, you know, he had a whole bunch of help or like any superstar, all-star, but the players he had around him were solid, and they did what they needed to do to win.
Compared to a Kevin Garnett's players.
Jason Terry.
See, look, honestly, I don't care who you got on your team. If you're able to get your players to rally around you and play good and play how they're supposed to, I don't care who you got on your team. You're winning. That is a winning team. And you don't, and that's all that really matters.
That's a player, Mary. If you're able to increase the players around you, then it means you're a better player. So what are we talking about?
But also that takes away from the credit from the players also executing that are around him. You gotta give credit to those players, because, you know, like not just so like you giving like executing like or giving them the space to work doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna do what they're supposed to do. You know, like I
see both you guys' points because. No, I see both of you guys' points. Not to, I just want to interject. I see both of you guys' points because Dirk was the best player on a team that really wasn't that. It wasn't like this all-time great team. It was, you know, it was regular team. Dirk carried them. He was the best player on the team. He was just beating teams that he had no business beating. He was that good. But also there are players like Jason Terry who's outscoring Kobe Bryant in a Game 4 elimination game that caused they swept the Lakers, back-to-back champions. Oh, who's the guy sweeping? Who's the team sweeping who? Oh, the Mavericks are sweeping the defending back-to-back champions. Jason Terry's outscoring the best player on the floor, Kobe Bryant. JJ Barea is outscoring the best player on the floor, Kobe Bryant. So we only bring up the finals. We only, I'm sorry, elimination game. I'm sorry, elimination game. Game
I'm
4.
saying in that
Am I hearing
series,
excuses?
I'm saying Dirk averaged 28 points per game in that series, so we can't take away Dirk because of what Jason Terry. He played a good game.
I'm not taking
in
any. No,
elimination.
no, I'm not taking anything away from Dirk. All I'm saying is the fact that I'm putting it into totality of saying that series or that playoff run, a lot of guys stepped up who didn't
But
necessarily get their credit. That's all I'm saying.
championship team. That's what any championship team.
Yeah, the difference is we pick and choose which teams we want to say this role player stepped up and give them credit. Obviously, the Mavericks being one of those teams where a lot of the other pieces don't get any credit at all.
I wouldn't say don't get any credit.
I think
talented.
We should stay focused on the people on the list, because it was a great podcast with I'm sure y'all saw it, where Gilbert Arenas, T Mac, Jay Will went at Stephen A. Smith on national TV. And it was similar to this. They were doing a podcast, and he's caught them talking about him on there because they were talking about AKA ring culture. And this is what I was thinking about when we were talking about this list. And y'all saw he was like, well, what do you mean by ring culture? And T-Mac and them was saying, you guys only glorify rings. You don't glorify these players. But one thing I will say, the Bleacher Report is looking at players, but it's hard to argue when you look at a lot of these players. A lot of them on that list do have a lot of rings.
Okay, Ron, can I ask you something?
The point is that the ring culture stigma, they were saying, is drowning out the quality of some of these players. But yes, you can ask.
Since I know you're OG, older than all of us in this chat, would you say Kevin Garnett is better than Julius Erving?
No, he's not better.
Because he's over. He's over on this list.
He's not. And the reason why I say that is Dr. J got penalized because a lot of his great numbers came when he was in the ABA. So unfortunately, he's living two lives. If you were to put the numbers he had from the ABA and the NBA, he'd be up there at the top of the list like some of these other guys. But unfortunately,
he got 3 championships.
That's not the way it works. The ABA is a separate league from the NBA. So that's why I would say Doc, because I knew that a lot of his numbers were ABA numbers. And unfortunately, he was one of the guys that left the ABA late. Whereas guys like Moses, as soon as the NBA called, he took off. So that's my point with that. But just going back to Garnett, I remember when Garnett used to eat Dirk Nowitzki for lunch, Dirk Nowitzki's first 5 years in the league. But again, Garnett was the big brother. He was more stronger, physical, and he took advantage of him, just like I saw Garnett get pushed around and bullied around by Chris Webber. So a lot of these players go through these phases in life. But what I want to do is I want to give attention to a player and say, look at this player, think about who he was, what he brought to the NBA. Did he do things that made you go, wow? You know what I mean? Like a quadruple double. I never even heard of a quadruple double before until I saw Elijah on 11 blocks, 10 rebounds, 40-something points, and over 10 steals. And he's behind Duncan. I have a problem with him being behind Duncan.
I have a problem with Shaq being so high and Kobe being number 11 as well.
Well, that's another one.
Top 15.
That's another. But I would say that they have to be right near each other. To me, those two.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Kareem and Magic, like right next to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But what's up?
I agree with you.
Yeah, because they won together. They won. You know what I'm saying? They're right there with each other to me.
Yeah.
But
so let me ask you a question. Now I know y'all talking about role players and things like that, and but I don't want to take away from the individual and say, because we've seen it when you've taken a guy like a Garnett, been the best player on a poor team, and you put him on a team like Boston, and boom, instantly they win a championship. Just like you've seen Dirk Nowitzki be rewarded, like Giannis was rewarded for sticking it out and staying with his home team until they were able to finally build around him, and then he goes and he wins. So I think I have respect for both situations. But when I look at a player, I'm looking at how complete is this player. If you're going to be in the top 10 or the top 20 of all time, there has to be something signature about you that makes me go, oh yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? He's up there for that reason. And so when you go through these lists in that first 20, that's what you're looking for. That other section is those guys like when you say, well, why is Paul Pierce so low or this one so low? Those are the guys who just did it every single night consistently, but weren't on that level where they were the big person in the room or the most, looked at person. Just like you guys will look back over Klay Thompson's career and say, man, he was a hell of a player. But again, we all know it's the Steph Curry show. So y'all gonna have that same.
They put Klay at 98.
What's that?
I have no problem with Klay being that low.
They put Klay Thompson at 98. That's an absolute.
I have no problem with
to
that.
me, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah.
They put
be higher.
They also put Kyrie Irving. I got his jersey on right now. Kyrie, one of my favorite players of all time. You telling me he's at 69? You're telling me you're gonna put? Oh no. 69. That's disrespectful.
That's false.
Where would you put hot Kyrie then?
I'd say
I think Kyrie's better than Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady's a little high for me.
They got Tracy McGrady at 59. They got Willis Reed at 58. They got Luka Doncic above Kyrie Irving. So
I don't think that's a bad decision. I don't think that's a bad decision.
I think you gotta give Kyrie his respect. Luka got. I mean, and I know we just finished talking about ring culture, but Kyrie got too much mileage. He already got a ring. He's done a lot for somebody who's been in the league.
He has the greatest ring in NBA history. To me,
okay. So where were you put Kyrie? I'm asking.
73 and 9 Warriors, and Kyrie Irving hit that amazing shot, and not just one moment. That's just a moment that we remember.
Yeah, that's why I said he got too much mileage. There's too much I'm bringing up about Kyrie. I cannot let Luka just jump over him like that. I gotta see a lot more from Luka.
What about Ray Allen? Because he's at 51, which is insane.
I'm not mad at that, but I'm gonna take Kyrie. I might have to take Kyrie over Ray. It's tough.
I think Damian Lillard's better than.
So what's the penalty on Tracy McGrady? I'm curious to hear from y'all's perspective. What's your knock?
He was talented.
Hold up. They got Tracy McGrady above Carmelo Anthony. What are we talking about?
That's what I want. I'm glad you mentioned that.
What's the knock against T-Mac? I'm curious.
T-Mac couldn't get out the first round until later in his career.
What's the knock against him? What couldn't he not do?
I mean, offensively, he could do everything similar to Paul George, but when you're on the court and we're talking about productivity and what you bring and what your impact to a winning team, Tracy McGrady did not bring that. He could do every move in the book. I'm not knocking his talent.
Okay.
But when you talk about the playoffs, it was kind of iffy for me, similar to James Harden.
Right. Okay. I give you that. I was going to say that. If anything, that's the knock on McGrady. His playoff record is atrocious. Which, again, I look at that. Do you make other guys better? Maybe not to win a championship, but at least to get out of the first round, So when you think of Kyrie Irving, this is where I'm insulted. Very few players could bring the streets to the NBA. Now, to a lot of these OGs' defense, coaches did not allow that type of basketball. You had to play textbook basketball. That's why you went to Rucker to see because Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew brought Rucker basketball literally to the NBA. Because before that, they let White Chocolate do it, but he was a Caucasian guy. It was okay for him to do it. But the real guys that could do it, they wouldn't let him do it. So, again, that's a whole nother story for another day. I think Kyrie Irving is being penalized for something a little bit other than basketball. That's just my belief. I think it has a lot to do with flat earth theory and, things that went on with him during the COVID years, things like that, watching movies that they didn't want him to watch. So that's just my take on it. But as far as talented, it's not a. I wouldn't want the ball in nobody else's hands except maybe Curry or somebody like that. I'm giving Kyrie the ball, and I'm gonna
So what
step up.
about? I think Kyrie's better. I mean, I think Dame's better than Kyrie all the time. I mean, I think I'm fine where Dame is.
Where is he?
He's above Kyrie's at 64. I mean, I can argue Dame could be over Carmelo and Tracy, especially when we want to talk about his clutch factor. And
Yeah, you ain't lying about that. You definitely ain't lying.
so
Yeah, I have a personal bone to pick with Carmelo. If you're watching this show, I'm gonna put it out there. When he came to the Knicks, technically was supposed to come out the year that D Wade and all of their contracts were up. Remember, they all came in together, and he would have been a free agent like them, and he would have been able to go wherever he wanted. And what he did was he did the proverbial stay a year extra and get paid by the Nuggets in a sign move, which made it so that the Knicks had to give up literally the entire organization just to bring him to New York. And that is why I believe he will suffer for that for the rest of his career, the rest of his life. He'll have to think back on that era, because had he was able to bring in like guys like Wilson Chandler, Tyson, Raymond Felton, and keep some of those guys, Danilo Gallinari would have all been on the team. And we've seen it. We've seen Kevin Durant pack his bags and walk out the door, go to Golden State, and think twice. So well, oh well, I don't care. I'm not doing the sign and trade. I think they got some kind of compensation. So that was my knock on Carmelo. And yeah, he was the best player in New York City, and he did all types of things. But 2 playoff appearances in 7 years, to me, that's why he's so low. He belongs down there. And it really was self-inflicted, because he could have just left in 2003 with everybody else and just went to the Knicks. But that's hindsight is 2020.
I mean, they also got Russell Westbrook at 48. And also, what's up, Reggie? How you feeling? How you feeling, bro?
Great. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to have you,
That's
man.
good.
I'm glad to have you back on the channel.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. They got Russell Westbrook at 48, which to me, again, like maybe I'm biased towards the players I grew up watching. There's that bias there for every generation, but to me, Russell Westbrook has to be higher. There's no way. I'm not hearing, like, to me, they got John Stockton at 29. Do you genuinely think that John Stockton's a better basketball player than Russell Westbrook? They got him right at CP3. What are we talking about?
I think we should interchange Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Just change their positions on the list.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I can put CP3 that low, but I see what your point is. I see it.
I mean, the thing with
CP3, he's a good player. But anyway, somebody go ahead. I heard somebody else talking.
The thing with CP3 is that when he was with New Orleans, that man was in MVP conversation. Like, he could have won MVP when he was with New Orleans. So I think, like, yeah, he went to, yeah. So, like, you got to think about, like, I know CP3's career is like a up and down in terms of, like, after he left New Orleans, okay, he didn't really do much with the Clippers with Blake Griffin, and then was a complete failure because the squad that they had should have went to multiple finals, and they did it under Doc Rivers. Maybe that's more about Doc Rivers because he did the same thing with McGrady, and he didn't get out the first round with McGrady. So that's why CP3's career took a little bit of a hit. But when that man was in New Orleans and it was him, David West, and them boys, you could argue that they like it was a reason why at the time David Stern almost blocked that trade with Chris Paul going to the Lakers. Like, there was a reason, because if they knew Chris Paul with Kobe Bryant could have been they knew Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul could have been a deadly duo, and instead David Stern blocked that trade from happening, and now we're looking at CP3 a totally different person. Whereas if he only got one championship, what he accomplished in the NBA, and I know this is his final season, but what he accomplished in the NBA so far is so amazing that, when it comes to like being top 5 point guard, a lot of people have him as the 5th best point guard behind in front of John Stockton and Russell Westbrook. And I get it. Maybe Russell Westbrook, maybe that fifth point guard. But for me, it's going to be CP3 because I just can't forget what he did in New Orleans and him almost competing with Kobe, Carmelo, LeBron, and them, and that loaded West at the time. Like the West was still loaded. Like I've seen the stat that when Kobe was in the West compared to when LeBron was in the West West had a better win percentage overall than the East at the time. So it's a give and take with that. But that's all my 2 cents on that. I'm just gonna let somebody else talk, about
Hey, Reggie,
CP3. But
I'm curious on your opinion. Since
Okay.
you value CP3's career, how do you think him and Allen Iverson compare?
that's a good. Okay, so with Allen Iverson, he had up and down career too. Now, my only thing is I think CP3's overall career was better than Allen Iverson because after Allen Iverson left the 76ers, what did he possibly do? Let's just really look at it.
I mean, he
He
still
went to the
averaged high 20s with the Nuggets.
I get it, but he wasn't the same player like he was on. And I get it, Carmelo was the number one guy. I'm not saying that.
But they had a lot of guys, Martin. Like they got some pieces. You have to
That's
share that
true.
rock.
But Kenyon Martin was the same Kenyon Martin that was on that New Jersey Nets team that with Jason Kidd that went to the finals with New Jersey Nets. So we not about to say Kenyon Martin was a bad player either.
I know that's what I'm saying. He wasn't as productive because he had guys like Kenyon Martin on that team.
Yeah, but he's the one that went to the Pistons and struggles. He went to Memphis after that Denver stint and struggle. I mean, Allen Iverson's career, I'm not saying he didn't suck as a player, but his career was underwhelming considering.
Underwhelming.
If you think about it, it was underwhelming. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but it was just a little bit underwhelming considering after he went to the finals in 01, everybody had that expectation and okay, yeah, he lost to Shaq and them. We know that they were dominant. They the team that won 3 straight. But yeah, let's just see if he can keep that going because he had that momentum riding. That's how I feel about Allen Iverson.
Let's change the perspective and make it a bit easier, right? Let's make it simpler. Okay, we talk about Allen Iverson. I want to get Mr. Ron's point on this too, but
yeah,
let's put it like this. Okay, Allen Iverson's at 36. They got Steve Nash above him. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. How do y'all feel?
No. I'm sorry, and I respect Steve Nash, but no.
The only thing Steve Nash does better than Allen Iverson is pass the ball. That's about it.
Easily.
So maybe defend, but no, it's just passing.
I don't even know about defending. I don't even know about the defending part. Maybe Steve Nash was a little better, but go ahead.
How do you feel, Mr. Ron? You think Steve Nash, Allen Iverson?
Well, before I say that, I do think the list is a little bit rude and offensive to the point guard position, but that's neither here nor me. But again, when you think about point guard, we have to make a crystal clear point. When I think of a point guard, I think of a leader of the team. I think of an orchestrator. I think of a guy that can get everybody where they're supposed to be. I think of a guy that protects the most sacred part of the game, the point of attack. Who's at the point of attack? Who's making sure that everything that the coach is communicating to those players is happening? See, that to me is a point guard. He's the brain behind the operation. So that's the first part. The second part of it, what kind of talent does he have? Can he defend? Because you're going up against the best on the other side. Can you set up people? Can you get guys the basketball and clean passes? Not these fumble balls when I'm bobbling passes because you ain't got nothing better and you throw it to me at the last minute. Are you setting the table? If I take that point guard off the floor, are we going to struggle because he's not there, right? And then last but not least, how he affects winning. So my classification of a point guard is a little bit more old school. So a point guard to me doesn't have to score 30 points to be efficient to me. He doesn't. All he has to do is hit shots that I need you to hit, make your freaking free throws, play solid defense. You don't even have to be superstar. Play solid and make sure that we're communicating and doing the game as the coach calls it. So with that being said, Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson are interchangeable. I get it. You know what I mean? John Stockton was probably one of the most underrated defensive guards I've ever seen. You're not dribbling the ball past Stockton. Stockton will pick your pocket clean, bro. That ball be going the other way. CP3 was a great defender for point guard up until just his latter years. And if you think it's easy to average 8, 9, 10 assists a game, then everybody would be doing it. It's not that simple. So I'm giving Iverson and Curry similar stats in that Curry is a generational, non-orthodox point guard who just Curry. He's just Curry. Like, I'm like, okay, who do I compare him to? I guess he's a Jerry West kind of, but Jerry West wasn't a point guard. He was a shooting guard. He was a shooter. But when I say playmaker setting the table, Curry is unique. AI was another guy. He's a generational player, right? He was the first one with the braids and the gold chain. So he's generational. Everybody loved him. The girls loved him. The women loved him because he was so little. He was everybody. My wife right now, that's all she talks about. AI. So when you get guys that bring other people into the game, like, see, we're not passive fans. We're real fans. But when you got the passive people that's having this conversation about a player, now you're going to have to pay attention. So, to me, Iverson was that generational type of guy. He really brought generations together that I never seen watch a game. I mean, when I was watching the NBA Finals, like Kobe, Shaq, Iverson, my whole family, women, everybody was watching it. And so, to me, he gets credit for that. But to your defense, his career wasn't as good as it could have been because he didn't want to go to the bench. If he had played off the bench in Memphis, he probably would have been fine. But he's looking at his counterpart on the other side of the room, which is Kobe, and he's like, well, Kobe ain't on the bench. Why the freak am I going to the bench? And so that's what ended up, I believe, was the undoing of Allen Iverson's career. So that's my whole thing. With CP, I looked at what CP did. Everywhere CP went, he won. People don't realize there's a young player who was exposed to playoff basketball at a very early age. His name was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I watched CP take an OKC team, a bunch of kids, and take them into the playoffs. I saw it. Everywhere he went. And you're right about the Clippers. I don't know what happened over there. They should have. Doc Rivers destroyed that team because he was such a player's coach. What he should have really done was tweak out some of the pieces when they had a chance. But he refused to do it. They followed Jordan to his house in Dallas or whatever, held him hostage. I would have traded that guy for picks. He would have been gone because he was only a one-dimensional player. And so you saw most of those guys, once Chris Paul wasn't with them anymore, their careers just diminished. So to me, with Chris Paul, if I'm building a team with point guards, he's right up there with Magic, Oscar, Isaiah Stockton, Chris Paul. I put them on they call him point guard. That's his nickname. Why? Because he's a true point guard to his highest level. Now, Kyrie Irving, he's a flair. But even him, I gotta consider him as well. So I'm going to take Chris Paul because of those reasons, And if you look at him, he was always there on defense. He was always there setting the table, making the right plays at the right time. And let's face it, Chris Paul's timing of injuries was just horrific. Horrific. If he didn't get hurt that year in Houston, they probably would have went all the way. That groin pull, he's always pulling a groin, doing something, going down in the playoffs at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think that's what undid him. But absolutely, I believe they would have won a championship in Los Angeles with Kobe. I know they would have. No question.
Yeah. I think so. What you said, I feel like you kind of agree with where they have him ranked because, you got Isaiah Thomas at 27, Stockton at 29, and then Chris Paul at 30. So it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it felt like the guards got pushed way down the can. And, we all know if those big men weren't playing with good point guards, we know what they would have looked like. They would have looked like Charles Barkley. You see Barkley have 3 careers. His first career when he was with Mo, when he was young, they was doing all kinds of stuff. And when those guys retired, he was just Chuck. Then he goes over there with KJ, and now all of a sudden he's an MVP again, just like that. So that point guard position is critical. It's so important. The Knicks, we were just looking like mediocrity. And everybody was like, well, what's the big thing about Jalen Brunson? Why you want him so bad? I said, because he's a point guard. That's why, a real one. And look at him. Since he's been there, we haven't missed. So the point guard position, I think, was really, to me, disrespected. And I'm going to throw my Russell Westbrook in. The only other guy that came close to Oscar Robertson's was Russell. And you talk about a generation with real bona fide stars that can leap over the roof of a building, and yet he's pulling down 10 rebounds? Really? At 6'4"? Who's doing that? I mean, Josh Hart is close, but he's 6'5". But, I mean, you don't see that every day. So I think they really not giving credit to that thing that's really not easy to do, that somebody can do, that you have to say, you know what? Just because of that, I have to push him up higher than I would have normally pushed him. But no one's doing no one's averaging triple-double since it was black and white TV, and he did it. So you put him all the way at the bottom of the list? I don't know. I just have a problem with that. But
Dwight Howard. I would like. I think
here's the Dwight
36 to 40 range. Dwight Howard. I mean, he was the best player in the league. Well, top 5 for multiple seasons. I mean, peak Dwight Howard was.
They got Dwight Howard behind Ray Allen at 52.
I see. That's.
I mean, I don't.
Superstar. He was a superstar, but similar to Dwight, that kind of fizzled out. But I think peak for peak, Dwight was better.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Dwight was better. I mean, the Dwight should have been higher for me. I mean, if he would have won a championship, he would have been. As I said, that Lakers stint kind of messed him up because after
Dwight did win a championship. He won a championship as a Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, but
it don't matter. Hey, I'm
prime,
not doing the whole. Oh, he didn't win in his prime. He won a championship. It's no.
Tyrus, you know it's not the same thing.
He won a championship.
It's not the same though.
He can't discredit somebody because he didn't win it when you wanted him to win it. He just didn't win it as the best player. That's the only thing.
And that's
Scottie Pippen is 28 on this list, and he had 0 championships as the best player. So clearly, it counts.
Well, what Scottie he did. Look, he did take them Blazer team. I'm not saying he was the best player, but he did take the Portland Trail Blazers and took them to a game 7 with the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. So, and if they didn't blow that 20-point lead that they had, they probably would have went to the finals when they lost probably to the Indiana Pacers. But I mean,
I think Scottie's too high. I'll be honest.
What? You think he's too high?
I'll be honest. I mean, you want to talk about player and productivity, and we were saying we don't want to really discuss ring culture in here, so let's just look at players for who they are. I mean, the first 3 Pete Scottie was kind of pedestrian. He only averaged like 15, 16 points a game in the first 3 Pete. The second one, I mean, that's where he really became Scottie. He's too high. And having over number 1 options like James Harden, Allen. I mean, so I have a love-hate relationship with Scottie Pippen. I mean, we could argue it. I'm not mad at you.
Kawhi.
See that right there. Kawhi was the best player on his team while guarding the best player. It's kind of levels.
I get what you're saying about like Scottie. Here's how I look at Scottie. When that first 3-peat happened, I know Jordan had to get stronger and all that stuff, but the X factor was always going to be Scottie. It was never going to be Jordan when it came to them 3-peat. Like he was going to be I'm not saying, look, I get it. Jordan, the best player, is defender. But in order to get over the hump, Scottie had to be the best 2-way defender that anybody could see. Because for Jordan's purposes, they want him to score, they want him to play a little defense. And I'm not because Jordan has all defensive like to his name. I'm not saying that. What I'm just saying is like for me, Scottie was the X factor in them getting them 6 titles because if he would have played at least below average. For him to play average and they still won per se, and there were times in the playoffs that Scotty saved Jordan. Like there was
Okay,
certain
but
games.
looking at the full stats, the full final stats of Scotty, I mean, he dang near had a double, but the thing is, people care most about scoring. He only went over 30 one time out of all of their out of all of their NBA Finals games, like every single game, LA game 1, LA game 2, all the way through. You know, he only went over 30 once. So if you want to get into the finals situation, but at the end of the day, you know, I think he's underappreciated. He deserves credit. He never got the full credit that he deserved, but putting him at 28, I don't necessarily know if that's the right spot for him. You got guys like Kawhi Leonard, you got guys like James Harden, but it's not. See, the ring culture thing is when you take it to the extreme. Rings do matter. They absolutely do matter. Nobody's saying that they don't matter. It's when you make rings the end all be all. But I think Scottie Pippen is he's probably could be a little bit lower. He's a little bit lower.
I think he's perfectly rated. I just think he's perfect because I like Ron said, like the productivity and the impact, and I feel like Scotty had a major impact in terms of being that second op. Like I think we can all agree he's the greatest Rob and so. But there was like certain games like if the Bulls don't win that game, hey, they might not win the playoff series against the Knicks. And like that's I feel like Scotty had some games that they needed effort for him because either Jordan was not shooting the ball well or they were playing tough defense on him. That kind of shifted the momentum in a series. I forgot. I think there was one series against the Knicks that Jordan shot, I want to say 8 for 20 something, and Scotty had double, and they won that game. Had Scotty not get a double and they lost that game, I think we would be saying, hey, the Knicks might win the playoff series, but they did it. We can't change history. But I think Scotty's just perfectly rated where he is because his impact was so important.
Hey Reggie, don't get on the MJ fans' nerves. You said MJ needed help. He had a bad game. He's human.
Look,
he's a human being. I didn't know that was possible. Michael Jordan actually had a bad game where he needed his teammates' help. What?
Every great player needs help. I don't like it. Like this is the part. Every great player needs help. And I get it. Every great player needs help. If you're not trying to win, then that's on you. But every great player needs help. And we're not about to sit here and not act like. And do I think Jordan's the GOAT? Yes, but we're not about to act like he didn't have a good squad. You had Dennis Rodman, Hall of Famer. Scottie Pippen, Hall of Famer. Steve Kerr. He's about to be a Hall of Famer once he leaves coaching as a coach. But as a player, he was decent for them. There's a reason, like people forget, James Jordan's early years when he was facing them Cavaliers with Mark Price, Steve Kerr was on that squad with the Cavaliers. So, like, we're not about to say Steve Kerr's a bum. I'm not about to say that. He had Ron Harper, maybe if not the. When you talk about defensive point guards, he was literally the prototype guard, like defensively wise. So, every great player needs help. Do I agree that Jordan's the GOAT? Yes, but I'm not about to say that he didn't struggle. Every great player struggled. I've seen Steph struggles in games. I've seen Kobe struggles in games. I've seen KD struggles in games. Every great player struggles. Like, that's what I say about basketball. Basketball is a make or miss league. Basketball is a make or miss league. Either you making all your shots or you missing all your shots. Either you're having a good day or you're having a bad day. It happens. So,
no, that's real. That's facts. That's facts. Because dude, I don't know. I didn't send you the list. I don't know if you have it pulled up, but I have it pulled up.
Okay.
Get into the main controversy. I mean, we can get into some other stuff, but I don't want to drag it. But I do want to get into the main controversy with Kobe being at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And so Curry's at 10, Kobe's at 11. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so
And would you put Kobe?
Mhm.
Would you put Kobe? They got Tim Duncan at 7. Would you put Kobe above or behind Tim Duncan?
Okay, so this is what I would say about Tim Duncan. The reason that, for me, I wouldn't have put Kobe behind Tim Duncan, and this is the reason why. When Tim Duncan came in the league, he was the immediate best player. People forgot that. In 19, yes, he was. He was the immediate best player.
David
David
Robinson?
Robinson was good, but he wasn't the best player no more. I'm sorry. There was a reason Tim Duncan got that Finals MVP in 1999. He was the immediate best player. I'm sorry, and I like David Robinson, but David Robinson, for as great as he wasn't a winning player. Because you can have all the stats in the world, but does that contribute to winning? Tim Duncan came in and changed the whole perception of what the Spurs franchise used to be. Because the Spurs franchise was, George Gervin, who was able to score, but they didn't win a lot. They won a little bit, but they didn't win a lot. Then you went to David Robinson, who was able to score, do a lot of different things, but they didn't win a lot. Tim Duncan came in, and once he won that championship, he immediately changed his Spurs perception. And then that's what they did. They got Tony Parker, and then was it Ginobili drafted first or Tony Parker? I'm not sure. But then they got Tony Parker and Ginobili, and then that's when the dynasty started. So for that reason, I wouldn't put Kobe in front of Tim, because when they first came in the league, Kobe wasn't there yet. Like, we knew he was going to get there, but we already knew Shaq was the best player. It was going to take Kobe a couple years to be the best player on the team. And that's why Kobe said, you know what, I want to figure out if I can win a championship or multiple championships without Shaq, because he heard that noise. And if he stayed with Shaq, he was never going to get the respect he did. Tim Duncan came in, immediately won the championship. Now, we can talk about them Knicks teams. It was the holdout year. They only played 50-something games. I get it. But Tim Duncan immediately won when he first came into the league. And then that's when the Spurs dynasty kind of bought it into, because then they won in 03, then they won in 05, then in 07, and then they had a little bit of a gap here, but then once they drafted Kawhi, they won one more, and then that's how we knew as the Spurs dynasty. So for me, like Tim Duncan, him winning immediately compared to Kobe when he didn't win, like his first couple years, and I'm not putting like, oh yeah, Kobe sucking this and that. I'm just talking about the immediate impact when they came in. When the Lakers drafted him, they knew Kobe was going to be the future, but they knew it was going to take a couple years for Kobe to be this good. It's just he got this good, maybe a little bit too early for them, because when the Lakers went on that three-peat, yeah, Shaq won them 3 Finals MVP, but Kobe, you could say Kobe was just as good as Shaq was, if you're thinking about it.
No,
that's how
you actually can't say that. You cannot say that, because he was right there with them, yes, but I'm saying we know who the best player on the Lakers was.
I like your point.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like Kobe was the best player. I'm just saying, talking about like his production with Shaq. It was like basically, if you want to say 1A, 2A, or 1A, 1B, however you want to put it. Now, how do I feel about Steph being 10? Yes, it's controversial if you want to say that, but I look at Kobe's career in totality. And I think that's what a lot of people are not understanding. Like when Kobe first came in the league, his first couple of years, he struggled. Like he was a bench guy. He struggled, and it's okay. Kobe, I think the Mamba mentality has, and I love Mamba mentality, but I think for people, because he was just like Jordan, and some of us didn't see Jordan in our time, we get so infatuated with Kobe. But if you break down his career step by step, like the dude in the peak of his prime missed the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. Like that gotta say something. And I know, and we talk about this with Jordan. Like the real fans talk about this with Jordan. Now there's some fans that say, "Oh yeah, Jordan's career didn't start until 1991."
No. Jordan came into the league killing. That man was averaging 36 per year.
I know that, but he wasn't winning no playoff games.
As did LeBron James, but what was the narrative when LeBron James was killing? Oh, he's not winning a championship. Oh, he's losing. So we can't have it both ways. We have to have it one way.
Taking that away from Jordan, but you want to talk about
Jordan
individual players. I'm not taking that away from Bron. I'm just talking about individual.
You have though. We're gonna get real today. You have disrespected LeBron James on multiple occasions. You've even gone to the point to say that he's a cupcake.
Like, he's calling me out.
So you can't have it both ways.
I do think LeBron James is a diva and he is soft at times.
So don't have him in your top three then. Don't have him. If someone's a diva and they're soft, don't have him in your top three.
At the same time.
Let me finish my Steph point.
No. If someone, let me say this: if someone is soft and they're trash and they're all these terminologies that you want to use to describe them, how in the world are they top three? You're sitting up here disrespecting one of the greatest players of all time. This is hold up. I'm gonna pass it to you, Jay. But let me say this last point. I'm gonna pass it to you. I'll give you your turn. But let me say this: the difference between Michael Jordan fans and LeBron James fans is I'm a LeBron James fan. I admire Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan fans, they don't admire LeBron. They absolutely hate LeBron. I actually admire Michael Jordan. I watched The Last Dance. It was amazing. It was awesome. I absolutely appreciate Michael Jordan and the legacy that he has. He's just not my greatest player. I have him at 2. But Michael Jordan fans go to the extent on hating on LeBron on next level. They discredit every single thing he's done. He gets to the most points of all time. It's just because he played long. He was the youngest to every milestone. He was the youngest to every milestone. And hold on. Mr. Ron, get this. They punish him for playing longer like he didn't earn it. Michael Jordan was smoking and drinking a little too much to be on the same level as playing as long as LeBron James.
Okay. I've had enough of this.
Okay. Did y'all hear that Jeff T comment?
You factor in the whole genetics. LeBron James played longer, and okay, you have to give him credit for that. But it's always a discredit. It's always LeBron couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He's a great player. He doesn't have to be your GOAT, but you're going to give him credit. That's all you have to do. Just give him credit.
LeBron gets credit. He gets credit. If we want to talk about the longevity argument, how can you tell me that Michael Jordan accomplished more than LeBron in less time? And when you look at the weight of their accolades and what they mean to the sport and what they mean to each player's legacy, Michael Jordans are heavier. I'm sorry. Most points all time. Okay, we get it. Cool. Like you the second player of all time. You the second.
There it is, right there. There it is.
You the second greatest player of all time for a reason. You can't consistently come up second place and get rewarded for losing. I'm sorry. I'm not rewarding you for losing. I'm not. I'm not.
So you're a ring culture guy.
I'm not a ring culture guy, but like Michael Jordan got it.
You are.
Like ring culture guy.
Okay. This is what I will say about LeBron. I understand how you feel because you feel like Jordan fans are disrespecting him. My only issue with LeBron is the timing of everything he does. Like, let's be honest, and I'm gonna break it down in the way. So when he won the championship in 2016, he declared himself as the GOAT. If you're the GOAT, you don't say you're the GOAT. You show it by your actions.
He said, "I felt." Hold up. Let's get that correct. Hold up. Stop. Because you're already wrong. He said, "I felt like that made me the GOAT." It was an enjoyable moment.
You don't say that,
I
though.
felt like
but you don't say
right
that.
There made me the GOAT.
Corny. He's corny.
Says who? You can't say you're the GOAT.
Who does that?
So Floyd
Mayweather
Mayweather saying he's the greatest boxer of all time. He can't say that.
That's corny.
I don't care what anybody does. You can say you're the greatest at something. I'm gonna say this. If I'm great at something, and I say I'm the best, even Draymond Green had this quote that I really like. Draymond Green said,
"Draymond,
you're doing something. You don't feel like you're the best, and you don't walk into it like, hey, I'm the greatest to ever do it. Then you shouldn't do that." LeBron James saying it out loud. Is that really a problem? I didn't see that as an issue. And also,
it's a problem for this.
Like you guys,
it's a problem for LeBron. Sorry.
That was his third ring. You can't say that after 3. Go ahead, Reggie.
It's a problem for me.
It was the greatest championship in NBA history. His third championship was against a team that's better than Michael Jordan beat in the finals. None of the teams Michael Jordan beat in the finals. All due respect to him. None of those teams are close to the Warriors 73-19. None of them. Not a single one.
My question to Reggie is, are you looking at his basketball or are you looking at what he said? Because we're trying to put people on this list based on the way they play the game, all the parameters. Jordan did things outside the game that I disagreed with, but I'll leave it alone. I'm talking about what you did on the court. So when you think about what LeBron did on the court, what would you say?
Okay, so what I was trying to say is I'm not excluding outside. I'm excluding outside. I'm just talking about within the court. I do have LeBron at second. I'm just talking about like him being the GOAT itself. His timing with certain things. That's why Jordan fans is never gonna like LeBron, because like his timing with certain things has always looked at it from like okay, when he said in 2016, I felt like I was the GOAT.
What does saying something have to do with basketball? We're talking about basketball, not what somebody said. I could say I'm the greatest basketball player ever. It doesn't change how good of a player I am. Me saying that, I could believe it and it not be true, or I could believe it and it be true. We're talking about basketball. What did LeBron James do that makes him not the greatest player in basketball?
He averaged 17 points per game against the Mavericks after joining D Wade and that great team. You were favored. You lose against the Spurs. Kobe
Bryant got outscored by Jason Terry and JJ Barea in an elimination game. So he's in the GOAT. Kobe Bryant's not in the GOAT conversation?
He's not Magic, LeBron, or Jordan for me. I'm sorry.
Here's the problem. I get you. That was LeBron's low light. It was his lowest moment, right? My thing is, the whole reason he's in the top three, right, is because how did LeBron respond to that? You say, we all fail in life, right? We all fail. This is a life lesson, right?
Why are we talking about
this is a life lesson. We all fail, but it's about how you get up and respond. LeBron James responded by having arguably the greatest season of his career. He got MVP and he got his first finals championship. So that's the whole story that I see with Michael Jordan. Even Michael Jordan made his greatest player.
If he said he's the greatest player in the world, he's the GOAT in 2016.
I don't think he is.
He's standing as the number one scorer in NBA history, and he's a 40-year-old that's doing things that other 40-year-olds don't do, except maybe Bernard Hopkins or George Foreman. I give those guys. But I mean, come on. We got to give credit where credit is due. He backed it up. He's been backing up.
Why isn't number 2 good enough?
LeBron James has backed up his mouth more than anybody I've ever seen. You take a 17-year-old kid and say you're supposed to be the best player? A 17-year-old kid? We're not talking about a grown man. We're talking about a child that's still living at home with his mom. And you say you're going to be the best player in the NBA. You're on the cover of freaking Sports Illustrated. And now you have to go to a Cleveland team that was trash. It was trash. Those players were trash. I'm sorry. I know this is going viral. They were garbage. And he went on that team and he carried those freaking bums on that team year in and year out. And I'm thanking God that we got Mike Brown as a head coach. Woo, woo. But I mean, come on.
So LeBron didn't carry like that? I mean,
Kobe Bryant wouldn't have got caught dead on none of those freaking Cleveland teams. I was delivering newspapers in Owens Mills when Kobe Bryant went bananas on the Lakers. Went bananas and said, if y'all don't get me Paul Gasol, I'm out of here.
He did say that.
Yo, he was going ballistic. You ran Shaq out because you want to be like Mike. So you ran him out so you could be the man, and then you had the nerve and the audacity to disrespect Jeannie. But I think Mr. Bus was alive back then.
Yeah, Mr. Bus. Yeah, still Mr. Bus.
And on public radio, they better get you somebody. I saw it. I was there. I heard it. I saw it. And then, of course, he went in there and Paul Pierce absolutely took his lunch. In the championship, he was sitting on the bench. He didn't even want to get in the game. I saw it. But he came back and then won the next year. Jalen wants to remind me. So I give him credit where credit's due. He came back. But LeBron James carried the mantle from 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, all the way up into his 40s. You can't take that away from the guy. The guy is the GOAT. Michael Jordan wouldn't even give Kareem his props back when he was that age, when he was in his 30s. I heard them say, the YouTube video, which I'm going to send all of y'all, where Wilt Chamberlain was so upset that he went on public air and was like, Jordan is not good. Wilt Chamberlain should be above Shaq. He's better than Shaquille O'Neal. I get it. Shaq is the face of the world.
I agree.
Shaq is a billionaire in everybody's commercial. Nobody's going to touch Shaq. He's worth too much. I don't blame him.
I think we should have a separate live on this GOAT debate. We're getting away from the list. I did want to touch on Steph Curry.
Yeah, I want to say something about Steph, but go ahead. I want to say about Steph.
I'm sorry. I just had to get that out. It's hard to live up to something and actually deliver it. And like we talked about on the show before, he did it with less shots, and he did it in his way. He didn't take as many shots. He took less shots, and he put up more statistics, more rebounding, more assists, good field goal shooting. Then people say, well, shoot, he's 6'9". He's a ton of a man. Whatever, man. He did what he was supposed to do, and he did it his way, and I give him credit for that. But I'm out. Go ahead and pick up your point. I don't want to hold that LeBron thing up because that's a separate thing.
Well, yeah, Steph Curry, to your point, Steph is such an anomaly. Like, as a player, number 10 is correctly ranked, but when you look at the impact and the culture he created, the way he changed the game, he has the argument to be top 7. I mean, you could argue him over Tim Duncan. I mean, if we really want to take it there, you could have him in the top 5 over Shaq and Wilt. Like,
no, you can't. No, you're going too far. You're going too far.
I'm just saying. I'm talking about. We talking about impact.
Yeah, impact.
Okay,
yeah, we're talking about GOAT debate.
We're talking about impact, but the thing is, like, I think Steph, you're right, though. He's one of the most inspirational players, most influential players. You know, the cultural impact is there. If anything, the highest for me so far, like just looking at the top 10 of Bleacher Report, you could swap him. Like you could put Curry from 10. You could put him ahead of like Larry Bird, but I don't put him above Tim Duncan. I don't put him above Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Kareem. I don't put him above those guys.
Larry.
I want to say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this about Steph, and you know, Ron. I think Ron put it as a good point. Why I don't have a problem with Kobe being 11th, because when you look at Steph's career, and Golden State could have easily, with them ankle injuries he had, Golden State could have easily said, you know what, this guy's too injury risk. I don't know if he's going to be the player that he is going to be. Too many injuries. All the things they said about Steph. And Steph stuck it out. Steph, you know, the addition of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green coming in, and they started weighing a little bit. And then he, as a player, out of his own way, said, you know what, KD, I want you to come and join. Not a lot of great players is going to do that. You just said with Kobe. Kobe ran Shaq out because he wanted to be like Jordan. He ran Shaq out. Now, you can say Shaq had weight problems, yeah, but Shaq won 3 straight finals MVP.
I'm pretty sure it was deeper than just wanting to be like Jordan. They had their own, you know, beef going on, but that's a whole nother topic. But what's up, Will? What's up? How you feeling, Will?
What's up?
We talking. We just. I'm gonna catch you up to speed real quick and then pass it on because we just talking about the Bleacher Report top 10. Bleacher Report top 100 NBA players. I don't know if you saw it, but they got Kobe Bryant at 11, which got people talking. And we're just looking at the full list. They got MJ 1, LeBron 2, Kareem 3, Magic 4, Bill Russell 5, Shaq 6. Tim Duncan 7, Bird 8, Wilt 9, Steph 10, and Kobe at 11. Your thoughts? I'm gonna send you the list.
To be for real, it's not that. So, what are people arguing? Do they say that Kobe should be higher, or is that
yes?
Higher than him?
Yes.
So they're saying he should be higher.
Yes.
I don't really see players ahead of him that I would consider Kobe better than. Like, I mean, there obviously are like arguments for him to be better than those players, but I don't see like where it's like, oh, this is just like so bad of a list where people should be arguing it. Like all
He's
these
definitely
debates.
Kobe's definitely to me is definitely like I don't even know why that's a debate. Kobe's better than Larry Bird. Yes, he's better than Larry Bird. He's a better
It's
defender
different
than
Oh
Larry
no
times.
Bird.
no 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 no
He's a
no no
better
no
three-point
no
shooter
It's
than Larry
different
Bird.
times.
no
He has
no
better
It's
no
handles
different
than Larry
times.
Bird.
no 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 no
Better
no
overall score than Larry Bird. Yes,
Dude,
Kobe's better than Larry Bird. Yes.
and the guy that
No.
told you how he was going to shoot a jump shot in your mouth, no matter how many people guard me, and make the shot.
That was nice in
But-
that era, wasn't it? That wouldn't work.
Larry
in
Bird's
2000s.
different.
Hold up,
Larry
you
Bird
know
in
Larry
2000s.
Bird's
What are we
career?
talking about?
Because he's not better than. No, he's not
No,
better than
Larry
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 Bird. I'm
Bird
sorry.
and the
He's
Celtics
not
was so
better.
good.
Larry's arguably top five.
He wasn't as fast as Kobe. He didn't have half the athleticism of Kobe, but yet he was able to do the things that he did. I don't know how he did it, but I saw it. I couldn't believe what I was watching, but I saw it with my own
You know what?
eyes.
See, people
You know
gotta know Larry Bird
I
and
bet you believe
Celtics was
KD
so
is better
good.
than Larry Bird. I bet you believe KD is better than Larry Bird. Do you?
I mean, Larry Bird and Kobe have the same amount of Finals MVPs. Kobe pretty much passed him in All-Star, All NBA, all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Kobe,
yeah.
and
Do you know Larry
if you
Bird
don't
has
even want
to
to talk
talk due to his
accolades,
back?
okay,
I'm sorry,
so
Tyrus.
that's a
I'm
so
sorry.
From my first ever video game that I ever had, Bird and Magic, bro. That was my first
It was
video game.
like
It was
I said, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson changed the way we looked at the
No.
NBA.
Bird
In
is
terms
not.
of watching-
Listen, we put Bird on the same. We always put Bird right there with Magic, right? Because of how competitive they were when they played. Magic is a better basketball player than Bird. Like that's not, to me, that's not even a debate. If you actually watch, like, go back and watch
Magic
the
Johnson
game.
could not shoot better than Larry Bird.
Oh,
And
so
if you really
Curry. Okay, you said
They
shooting.
call
So
him
give me
Larry
Steph Curry over
Legend
Larry
for a
Bird.
reason.
You
It's
said
makes
shooting,
sense.
so give me Steph Curry over Larry Bird.
but then we're taking
Give me
everything
Kobe
else.
Bryant
You
over
can
Larry
say,
Bird.
It's a
yes, I'm
different-
taking Larry
it's a
Bird over
different
Kobe
time.
Bryant, and I love Kobe. But Larry Bird could pass the rock, he could shoot the rock, he could play defense, and he could rebound. The man was a walking double-double sometimes, even a triple-double. He may not
me
have
ask you
the
something.
quality points.
Let me
Okay,
ask you
answer me
something.
this. Come on.
Who was Larry Bird guarding? Who was Larry Bird guarding that was on par with LeBron James? Who was Larry Bird guarding that was on par with Kevin
Kareem.
Durant?
Magic Johnson.
Years.
Magic
Larry Bird wasn't
Johnson.
guarding
See,
Kareem. What are you talking about?
Magic
See,
Johnson.
see, that's the problem. You guys don't consider the fact, and this even goes with Michael Jordan.
Julius Erving, George
I can put this.
Gervin,
I missed it.
Dominique Wilkins, Marcus
Uh,
Bryant.
I'm
Larry
not
Bird
saying
was
he
one of them
didn't play
ones, Tyrus. He
because he
was
did.
one of them ones, bro. Like he's
But-
arguably better than Magic Johnson and
I'm
some
not
people got.
debating that. I'm not debating that. I'm just talking about my personal preference. I would prefer. We literally, you guys are basically agreeing with what I'm saying without even realizing it. Earlier, when I said, "Hey, you think Kobe should be right there with Shaq?" You guys said yes. Kobe's at number 6. Bird
I
is
think
at
Shaq
number
should be a
8.
little
So
lower.
is Kobe with Shaq or not? Is Kobe with Shaq?
I wasn't
or not?
on when I wasn't on when you had that conversation. And do I think
Yeah,
Kobe
me
should
neither.
be with Shaq? I wasn't on. Do I think Kobe should be with Shaq? Honestly, I mean,
I think Kobe had a little better of a career than Shaq.
yeah.
Nah, Shaq is better,
He ain't-
like the career wise.
I mean, I think
At
what
his
Kobe did
most
after
dominant?
when Shaq left, Kobe still won 2. So
But Shaq won one
Shaq-
before
I mean, Shaq
Kobe.
got
When
one.
he went, he
He
wasn't the
didn't win
best.
2, but he got one.
Shaq was taking teams
Yeah,
to
that
the
was
finals
his-
by himself. Like
not by himself. That's over. That's too much.
in Orlando.
He went to the finals. Hold up. Shaq went to the finals before he became a
Yeah,
Laker.
he went.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ross
Yeah,
was
he
talking
went-
about those expansion teams. I was going to bring that up earlier, but I left it alone. But Shaq took
That's one
to-
example out of a 30 team league, right? So that's one example.
Oh, okay, we can talk about the Charlotte Hornets with Alonzo Mourning. They went to the finals.
That wasn't a great team. That wasn't you like
They
what are you
lost to
talking
Jordan.
about? That was
They
never
lost
a
to
great
Jordan in
team.
the conference championship.
They
That's
were
the
never
only
a great team.
What do you mean they lost? They went to the conference championship. What you talking
I
about?
mean, it's impressive they went to the conference championship. But everybody knew they was gonna lose to Jordan.
GREAT, great. They were never a
They
great
were a
team
great
ever.
team, bro. They were a great team.
They were
They were
good,
never
but
a
I
great
wouldn't
team.
say great. I wouldn't say great. They were good though. They were good. They had Glenn Rice, Alonzo Moore. They were good.
They were good, yeah. They were just never great. Michael
I'm just
They were
saying.
Jordan,
good.
Michael
I'm just
Jordan's
saying.
career.
Expansion teams were competitive. They weren't just pushovers. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying is when it comes to Michael Jordan's competition, not to bring back this point because I know I'm harping on him kind of, but I just want to make this point. When it comes to Michael Jordan's competition, the biggest competition he had was the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Knicks.
The Blazers, Clyde, the Glide. Come
Pacers.
The
on.
Blazers had Clyde Drexler,
That was
and
giving
some
him
friends.
problems.
They had
Ky-
Clyde Drexler and some friends. Let's go to the Suns. They had Charles
It was
Barkley
Michael Jordan
Who
and
was
some friends.
MVP?
friends and some
And some
friends. Like
Charles
that
Barkley
was
won MVP that
insane.
season. And the Suns took them 6 games.
You
So
were
that,
just
that, you know,
talking about
that-
valuing. Go ahead, my fault.
and then you got to think about them Pacers team with Reggie Miller, with Larry Bird coaching, they gave them some problems too. Like it went
Just
7
because they
games.
gave them problems doesn't mean
Damn,
that
they
team
win.
was great.
You're
That
underestimating
team.
Charles and Clyde, bro. Like those were killers.
They didn't.
Dog.
First of all, I'm not underestimating them. It's a team game. You're talking about players. This is like me saying, "Oh, you know what? This team with a really great player. Yeah, that team was great just because of that one player." No. This is even. I was even listening to talking about the Miami Heat, their first iteration in 2011, right? Everybody says that's a great team, right? Because they had Dwayne Wade, they had LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. So everybody else on the team, does that make
But you can have good supporting
it was terrible?
pieces. They probably wasn't a great team, but you can have good supporting pieces.
Bro, he's acting like
They're
Very
there's
shallow.
nobody on these other
They
teams.
have the depth. That's when they ran into trouble when they played Dallas. They didn't have the depth to compete with Dallas. So the Dallas Mavericks was a prelude to what you've seen in this NBA Finals, right?
Thunders and stuff.
Put Kansas City, OKC second unit, and you felt like he was playing against starters. That's how they had it. So that was kind of a prelude. The problem that I have is that we're constantly challenging ourselves because we're trying to talk about a team sport, but yet we're highlighting these individual players. So the only way I can think about giving them credit where credit is due is if you took those players off their teams, what would the NBA look like? The second question I would say is if you took that player away from basketball, what would the NBA look like, right? And my thing is that when I think about all of these players, I have to think about what you said. This is why we all frown when we talk about Larry Bird. Larry Bird was iconic, right? There's no magic without Bird. I mean, these two guys met in college, in the finals, championship, and then they met in the NBA finals. And then, like he said, he started to change the game. Because back before they got there, the game was getting a little carried away. It was a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, a lot of gambling. And so these guys kind of came in, AKA choir boys, and they cleaned it up so that you could bring your kids back to the game. So that's why they'll forever go down in NBA history because they started making it marketing. Another reason why they go down in NBA history is because these were the genesis of the league that we see today. It was that dream team that finally opened up the NBA to this world global sport. So they're going to always be on that Mount Rushmore. Like you said, if you take Curry is a generational talent. You've never seen anything like that. You know, when Iverson came in the league, you never seen anything like him. When Jordan came in the league, you kind of didn't see nothing like him. You kind of did. The one thing that made Jordan iconic was that most scoring champions up until him never seemed to win a championship. For whatever reason, they struggled, right? The old guy was Jerry. Jerry used to try to win, kept losing and losing and losing. They made him a logo. He was so great. He only won one chip. One.
He was
scoring record. Jordan comes in, same thing, scoring. Ironic, 7 must be the magic number. because Jerry won on his 8th year. Jordan wins his 8th year. But back to our point, without Kareem, what do we see? The skyhook stuff. This iconic. So Shaq tearing down the backboard and all that stuff. So Kobe, again, the only reason why we're giving Kobe credit is because we understand the game. We understand what he had to go up against. We knew he was going up against the Ray Allens, the McGrady's, the Iversons. But we knew that generation that he came in was phenomenal. And again, he was hiding in the shadows of Shaq. So we give him credit, as we should. But you have to take that approach with everybody. You know what I mean? You can't just do it to Kobe and not do it to maybe staff or not do it to what's going on in OKC. I mean, we see that that guy, what is his name, Jalen? I mean, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal. But he'll never get the credit that Shea Gilgeous is going to get. We'll look back in 10 years and be like, yeah, that guy was nasty. But it's going to be Shea Gilgeous' team because he's the MVP. It is what it is. So we have to be the ones to kind of help the passive fan understand what they may not understand about these lists, right? So I'm speaking to that generation with Doc. I seen Doc do things that nobody else did. Everybody wanted to be like him. Everybody. And then you see him walk around, he had the clothes on and pork chop, man, everybody's trying to be like him. So just like then Mike comes over, now everybody's trying to be like Mike. So now you see how we have to look at the game and say, you know what, you passive fans that only watch the game when it's on mainstream TV. Nah, we watch it. We see the Tuesday night game that y'all ain't watching when Ant-Man is playing literally on one leg by himself, dropping 40. We saw that. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be the ones to remind people about just how good these players are. And I get it, we do have our personal, favorites. But I'm always going to be a person that looks at what can you do for me? That's how I'm always doing. Can you give me what? What else? Well, give me all the things you bring to me. Can you rebound? Can you defend? Can you help the coaches? Can you motivate the other players on the team to step up? What do you bring to the table? Or you just down there getting highlights, doing your thing like, McGrady. He was great, but he didn't make others better. So that's my biggest knock on some of these guys on the list. I have to ask did y'all make people better? And if you did, now I have to look at you a little differently than just being a great scorer, great rebounder, or whatever. And we know Shaq pretty much allowed Kobe to be Kobe because he did all the heavy lifting. It is what it is. I remember that year Iverson said on national radio, he said, Kobe going to be sorry for running that big man out of town. He said that out of his own mouth. And he was for about 2 years, but it didn't last. He got his Gasol. But this is a tough debate, guys. This is not going to end tonight. You can break this show up.
You ain't lying.
I mean, before we wrap it up, from what I'm hearing from you guys, it does sound like you guys are okay with Kobe at 11. I'm just being real. It sounds that.
I am. I mean, Kobe, he's like generational. Like everybody gonna know him for years and years. But what did he bring to the game? He's literally like a Jordan 2.0, and probably like a lesser version of Jordan, to be for real. And when you have like a duplicate of another player like that, it kind of just like tears you, don't put you up to the same standards or like the same level as that player. So for example, if there's another Steph Curry, that player probably won't be looked as good as Steph Curry because Steph Curry already happened. So it's like he just trying to do it someone else already did. So everybody else above Kobe, they already like wrote their own story and basically like made their name not trying to like be like another player basically. So yeah. That's my argument for why he should be 11.
Honestly, I mean, I agree with what Will said. Personally, I'm glad this person getting his respect for where he's ranked, and that's Hakeem. I don't think people understand how good Hakeem was because Jordan was in that era. But this man was considered before, like this man was considered the Tim Duncan before Tim Duncan even came in. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be honest, like in terms of his skill set and how he was able to move, like there's a reason Shaq. They always talked about who was his hardest matchup. It was always Hakeem. Like there was a reason, like when Jordan left for baseball, who won back-to-back champions and who was the MVP? It was Hakeem. So, and then people forget, I think Hakeem and Jordan was in the same draft, if I'm not mistaken, or I may be wrong with that. So, I'm glad Hakeem is gaining his respect in terms of, because I feel like he goes, like, I know everybody talking about Jordan, and I get Jordan dominated his era and this and that. But for guys like Hakeem, who won the championship, 2 championships to be exact, and went to the finals before Jordan even went one, people forget Hakeem went to the finals with Ralph Sampson earlier in his career. They just didn't win though, but he went to the finals. So I would say I'm glad Hakeem is ranked where he is ranked. I will say that.
I agree with you 100%, and I think we got to look at the big picture. Are the centers being penalized because they're so big, right? Because like Bill Russell for years and Bill Russell and Kareem for years. As soon as Michael was close to being what he was already ranked. Just like the Luka thing, I saw that already. When Jordan was in his bag, they were already saying he was the greatest. I'm like, God, dog, Kareem's not even in the grave yet. I mean, are you kidding me? And they had him right there. And so there's this infatuation with guards. And I get it. It is something when a 6'6" guy throws on a 7-footer and it does this, I get that. That's why a lot of guys like that are smaller win the dunk contest versus the big guys. They're like, oh man, you can just do that. And I think it penalizes a lot of these big men because they really don't get the credit that they do. And I agree with what you said about
I agree with both of y'all because centers nowadays, you're not going to see another Kareem or Shaq just because the way the game has like transformed and stuff. LeBron, he had to beat somebody, and that somebody was Kareem, for the scoring record. Like a center had a scoring record. That's never going to happen again. Like a center is never going to get nowhere near some 38,000 or anything like that. So the way that the game was played back then is way different now. So that's why centers like Kareem and Shaq, they're going to be like, they're like the legends when it comes to like centers and stuff because just the way the game was played in their era, it's like can't just can't transform that. So
yeah, the only reason why everybody loves the Joker is because he plays like a guard. That's the only reason. He's doing all of this to these passes, and they're like, yeah. So it's a guard's world to me. You play like a guard, you look like a guard. Oh, you're the best big man in the world, and I was like, he's not better than Embiid, but they gave it to him. All right, fine. Love him. If I'm going in the NBA, I'm going for a center that can rebound, block some shots, and intimidate people from coming in the paint. But that's just me. That's what I want. Joker's fine. I mean, it's preference. It's a preference.
Yeah, they got Jokic at 17.
See? He's already at the 17. And he can't make the jump up. He's still got another 5 or 6 or more, 7 more years to play. So it's just the preference of what the world sees. And now that the fans are global, I will give him credit where credit is due because he's a global phenomenon. And that's probably why Luka's on that list too, because they try to pull that European spotlight, which is fine. Those are 2 good players to do it too. Not knocking out their talent. But
can I ask you this? One of my last questions I want to ask you guys, and especially Mr. Ron. I kind of feel like when it comes to these lists or these rankings, sometimes it's a lot of legacy bias. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying legacy doesn't matter, but it's like, okay, you got Jerry West. Hold on, let me check this. They got Jerry West pretty high. Jerry West is top 15 in all time on Bleacher Report's top 100. I think that's a bit high. Like, I think that people focus a lot on legacy to define where they want to rank some of these players. I think that Russell Westbrook should be higher. I think Kyrie Irving should be higher. I think Damian Lillard should be higher. Not saying that they should necessarily 100% have to be higher than Jerry West, but I think they should be right there with him. I think that his legacy is unprecedented. Of course, his legacy is going to be bigger than theirs. All the things he's accomplished. He's literally the logo. He's the logo. His impact in the league. But was he a better basketball player?
Well, I mean, Jerry West was phenomenal. I mean, if you look at it like this, if there was a 3-point line, Jerry West probably would be the all-time 3-point shooter. And I think a lot of these guys realize that a lot. And I guess this is their way of saying, if we don't keep Jerry, and I kept saying this to you guys, if they come up with a 4-point line, are you going to take Curry out of there and say, oh, he don't belong? You know what you're going to say? I seen Curry shoot shots from half court, so he probably would have been hitting fours, right? That's what most of you are going to say, and I would agree with you. You're right. But that's what I feel about Jerry. I watched Jerry West pull up from damn near half court. That's why they called him from the logo, because that's where he was shooting from. But there was no 3-point shooting in his generation. So that's another thing, and I think they have to keep some of these legacy pieces. And then you got to also ask the question, where did you do it, right? Did you do it in OKC? Did you do it in Charlotte? Did you do it in Milwaukee? Or did you do it in LA, Los Angeles? So there's that geography bias as well. So it's geography bias, legacy bias. Let's be realistic. We're all grown men. And there's race bias, right? What color were you, right? Oh man, he was a Caucasian and he was doing that. Okay, well, that goes for that's right. Have you seen anybody else like him come in the league since him? Oh, there's this Larry Bird guy. Okay, great. Do we see anybody else come in the league since then? Where is this Jerry? There's this Nowitzki guy, but he's from Germany. Oh, okay. Now we got this Luka guy, and he's from where's Luka from, guys? Spain?
Slovenia.
Yeah, Slovenia.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Guys kind of where this is going, and so those guys get a lot of credit because it's one of them and a whole bunch of other people. Compared to them, they're not as many of them that play that great. So that's another bias that's there. But I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's okay.
I saw a post. They had a post where it was basically like showing the greatest white players in the NBA history. I'm just laughing at it. I'm just like, it's like if you're great, you're great. If you're great, you're great.
If you're great, you're great. And what we got to realize is that, with certain cultures, they go to school primarily more or less, let's say, for educational purposes. And other cultures may be going to school for, let's get the bag, and we'll go back to school later and finish our degree, We're going to be basketball. So it's just focus, and I don't think, like you see now with the females are playing so much better. Why? Because people are focusing on training their daughters on how to be basketball players. Whereas back in the day, I want my girl to look, nice and pretty, Now it's get out there and dribble the ball. So it's just preferences, You have to look at the big picture. So it's a great conversation. I'm sure this is not over. It's going to continue. And I think the league loves this because this starts to get people now to say, you know what? Let me go back and look at some of the old Russell Westbrook videos. Maybe I missed something, And now you bring all this energy to the game because now we'll go back and look at more videos. So when we get back together, we'll have more things to talk about. And of course, the league loves that because they're growing. They're making the type of money now. Everyone's watching. So it's a good time to be in the NBA. I'll admit that.
It's great. It's great. This top 100 list got people talking, and that's a great thing. But just to wrap it up, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in on this discussion. It was really fun to just, dive in, break it down with these guys. But I want to get you guys' last thoughts. Will?
In my personal opinion, LeBron should be one on the list. But other than that, I see. It's part. It was a good list. I did come in a little late, but it was glad kicking it up with y'all guys and stuff. But yeah, good discussion.
Appreciate you joining, Reggie.
I think I echo the same sentiments as well. It's a great like when you making these type of lists, it's always going to be problems no matter what. It's part of life. Like if we make the top 100 greatest football players in the history, it's going to be a problem with like guys like where Tom Brady rank and all that stuff. So it's a give and take, and we got Cooper Flag who's going to be a rookie coming in, Victor Wembanyama. So just imagine this list in the next 10 years. Whether those guys going to be, there's going to be guys you kicking off that top 100 that was on this top 100. Maybe a guy like Klay Thompson or Manu Ginobili. And it's going to be sad, but, it's just a testament to how many great players have come into this great league in the NBA. And just being a sports fan in general, just being a sports fan in general, I think it's a good time to be a sports fan. So,
wow, I agree. I agree with that. That's a great take. I didn't even think about what he just said. I mean, and that means what he's saying is so powerful because if guys like Jerry West, Kareem, and Shaq and those guys sticking around, that means they had to be the best of their generation. Because you're right, there's so many great players coming in that can just push you right off that list.
mm-hmm.
So that does matter.
True.
I agree with that. And then, you guys will be that bridge next. It'll be you guys fighting for this generation. Of course, the greats. You're not just going to keep anybody in there. But the ones who you're going to say, yeah, these guys are phenomenal. They have to stay. They can't go. And how they impact the league. And it's probably going to go back to what you said, Tyrus. I think the European impact is going to be that, I think. Because like I said, and I know we're not ready to give it to them yet. We still have Ant-Man and Shea Gilgeous, although Shea Gilgeous is technically Canadian. So that's, whatever. But is the face of the NBA going to eventually go overseas? So that might be a conversation we have coming up soon. But the impact of the European player, I'm feeling, I feel the heat on the back of my neck. Guys like Wembanyama, Luka, guys like that,
Jokic.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot for the American players. We have to expand our game. We have to continue to grow as players. We can't just lean on our athletic abilities and think that's going to carry us. Those days kind of behind us.
I want to ask y'all this question before we close this out. We had the European players and the non-Americans. When this list comes out, let's just say in the next 20, 30 years again, how many non-Americans will be in that top 100? Because there was a couple of them that was in there. And you got Shea, who's Canadian, Lucas Slovenian, Jokic is from Ginobili. Ginobili was already in there. You had
was Tony Parker?
Yeah, Tony Parker. I think Tony Parker was in there, wasn't he? I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if he's not. But
I don't see him. I'm trying to find him.
Yeah, I didn't see him until I was a little surprised.
I know the kid combo is in there.
Especially because Ginobili was in the top 100, so I'm surprised that Tony Parker wasn't. I guess they say Ginobili had a better impact than, which I don't think that's true because
that's definitely not true.
Parker did win Finals MVP.
Giannis is in there. I forgot about
they got Tony. So they have Tony Parker at 86, but Manu Ginobili at 75.
Wow.
I think because I know why. Because that 6-man, Manu Ginobili made that 6-man like nobody I know there was a 6-man back then. I'm not saying that, but because he was so good and he could have been a starter, he was like one of the first guys that really made like the 6-man. Okay, what really is the 6-man in terms, because Jamal Crawford came in afterwards, and then we got a guy like Lou Williams, who's known as Mr. 6-Man. So I can see why Ginobili, got the nod over Parker because that 6-man impact. in terms of like the name of it and the value became so important after he stepped in and did the role to his absolute
Yeah.
best. So
And then he was a champion in Europe, he was a champion in the Olympics. So those are those great Olympic teams they used to give the United States fits. So he had a dual residency. Then he comes to the American wins chips too. So yeah, I got that. It's going to be interesting. I think the European, well, let me just say the non-American players are on their way, and they're not. I don't see no slowing down at all.
mhm.
But that's great. That's going to push the American players to continue to be better. You just can't sit down on nothing. You have to continue to work. I'm really curious to see where Anthony Edwards, how he comes back next year. Because he absolutely, I'm sure he got his heart broken this year. And he thought they had a shot. And he's just got to be better.
I'm sorry, but if Steph didn't get injured, they was not getting nowhere near the finals. They had a cakewalk to the conference finals. I don't respect Anthony Edwards, but them Timberwolves team was not that good this year. Like I feel like Golden State could have competed with OKC better, but that's just me. But and like Steph got her, it's okay. It's like things happen now. Him getting a hamstring, I didn't expect him to get a hamstring injury. Out of all the injuries he could have got, he got a hamstring. So that's the only thing. But yeah, go ahead, Tyler. You probably want to say something else or anybody.
Yeah, I just want to say, in conclusion, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Great discussion. We got some more content coming, but this was a topic we had to address. And Mr. Ron, Will, Reggie, appreciate you guys joining in. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.